You didn't think I would come here alone, did you?
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Echo 8, and this 2024 film was directed by MANIA Tran and Takashi Hara, who also both star in it as well, along with David Wrong, among others, of course. The story of this movie takes place in Australia, where they have this assassin gang. So they're going around assassinating all of these people. And with the assassin gang, they were also like taken as children to be, raised as assassins. And so our main character, she often thinks about her childhood. There's long segments kind of about that. But in the present day, she's just going around kicking ass and doing assassinations. And then one day she is tasked with assassinating her mother. And that, of course, is going to raise some dilemmas in the story. What will happen though? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. Alright, so let's discuss this film. Well, with this one, it's a low-budget action film, and they do have, some action here or there. Most of it is like hand-to-hand stuff, but, it does work for what it is, I gotta say. It looks perfectly fine, when it's on the screen. I'm glued to that action. They have a few things where it's like, a little bit of gunplay here or there, but I found that to be, over quite quickly. So most of the action is low budget, but I certainly think it is, serviceable for what they're, going for. And so that certainly is good. In addition, all of the outfits look nice. They're supposed to be these badass assassins. And just from, the black and the leather that they're wearing and stuff like that, you certainly get that image. So they did have, a good eye, I would say, for the costumes as well. Other than that, this one is starring the directors as well. MANIA Tran and Takashi Hara here have, been behind the camera on this one, but they're also in front of the camera. And it, works for what it is. All of the direction is fine. Everything's lined up very clearly. The sound is good and stuff like that. So the shooting, the sound, all the technical aspects certainly do work, which is often one of those things where, the directors don't have people to push back against them, so they just kind of go overboard on some of this stuff. But it looks like they've done it, very clear, very, professional, and so all of that certainly is, beneficial for the film. And that brings me to what doesn't really work with this one. Well, I think they have too many flashbacks. Like, there's this whole story going on where the main character is always like doing these flashbacks to her childhood. And of course that, builds the character of the mother and why she wouldn't want to kill the mother and stuff like that. But they take up like large chunks of the movie. It's kind of not strange how it's done, but I just think done too often and done, too long. There's one where like the mother is talking about how another mother had to give up their child and was crying about it. And of course the message of that is not lost on me, especially with like how they've kind of casted the mother as well. Like the mother looks the right age for the present time, but not for the current time. So they haven't like de-aged the mother for the flashbacks. They just de-aged the daughter. And so yeah, you just kind of think like, is that really the mother, or is it the grandmother pretending to be the mother and things like that. So it, I think, could have been cut down with that, made it a little bit more snappy. And yeah, just a little bit more kind of on the dramatic side that I do think kind of slows down the action, which is what I'm there for, the most part. I don't mind drama. It just has to be done in such a way where I think it kind of furthers the plot. And things like flashback are not always kind of the best vessel for that. And yeah, so that certainly is in there. Other than that, with this one, I thought it could use some more action. The action you get is perfectly fine, but I would have liked some action every, 15, 20 minutes. As such, they do kind of have these kind of longer, drawn out, dramatic parts. They even have one that's kind of like a comedic scene where they have to go into some guy's office without him knowing or whatever. I enjoy kind of that comedy, skit, but the other parts that, are the flashbacks or the drama parts or whatever, just didn't really work for me. I thought it just kind of dragged the movie down, especially if it's like advertised as an action thing. I guess you could say, it goes more to the drama aspect of it, but for me, I'm there for the action, right? And, you know, maybe the drama, it works for you. Maybe that's what you're really into. And I'm sure it works for you on that level, but just, you know, not so much me. I did also find, because, you know, it does have that more dramatic story, that I did find it a little bit predictable as well. Like, once you find out who her next target is, you really kind of question, like, is she going to kill her mother? I would actually be, like, surprised if she had gone through with it. And so it's just like, you kind of can predict what moral dilemmas are out there for her and things like that. And then, you know, would her friend kill her if she doesn't kill this guy or whatever? And you're just like, yeah, all right, I get the whole thing, right? And so it just seemed a little bit predictable that way. They also have like this cat thing going on. I guess it's like a running joke where they find this cat and they're like, oh, it's like Mr. Boots. And then, oh, let's pet Mr. Boots for a few minutes. And then later on, they like find Mr. Boots again. Like, it's just a, you know, black and white cat. And they're like, oh, here's Mr. Boots. Oh, that's not Mr. Boots. Oh, it's still the same colors or whatever. And so I guess they try to put in these running jokes. It only happens, you know, once after the initial one. So that is, you know, in there. And so you can see they certainly have tried everything like that. I think with this movie, it's probably good if you're, you know, doing laundry or, you know, doing housework, where you can kind of pop in and pop out of it and still kind of get the general gist of it all. So yeah, that's the type of movie it is. As for a recommendation, well, I would say you have to be in the mood for this type of movie. It is kind of a slower paced drama action film. So I would think like a lazy day, you know, rainy day would be a good day for this one. I did watch this one on Tubi. You know, Leo sends me these Tubi movies because I think the licenses for Tubi don't work in the UK or something like that. And so if you're looking for it, yeah, go over there and press play. As for rating, well, ultimately, coming out of it, I thought it was very okay. So I'm going to give it the okay score of 4. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.